The year is 1865. Smoke drifts across the fields of Gettysburg, not from the fires of battle we know, but from the celebratory bonfires of the victorious Confederate Army. General Robert E. Lee, his face etched with determination and relief, accepts the surrender of a demoralized Union army. The Confederacy, a newborn nation forged in the fires of war, had defied the odds, repelled the invasion, and secured its independence. News of the Confederate victory sent shockwaves across the globe. In London, Paris, and other capitals of Europe, diplomats scrambled to understand the implications of a divided America. The old order had been shattered, replaced by a new and uncertain future. In the North, disbelief and despair reigned as the news of defeat trickled back to the cities and towns of the Union. The dream of a nation united, of liberty extended to all, lay shattered. The Confederacy, having secured its independence, moved swiftly to establish itself on the world stage. Ambassadors were dispatched to European capitals, seeking recognition and trade agreements. The new nation, rich in resources and eager to prove itself, presented a tempting opportunity for powers seeking to counterbalance the influence of the United States. The early days of the Confederacy were marked by a mix of jubilation and uncertainty. The war had taken a heavy toll on the South, leaving its economy in ruins and its people deeply divided. The triumphant return of the Confederate soldiers was tempered by the realization that the true work of building a nation had only just begun. The Confederate States of America, born out of defiance of federal authority, now grappled with the complexities of governing a fractious coalition of states. President Jefferson Davis, his wartime leadership validated by victory, now faced the daunting task of uniting a nation riven by internal divisions and economic woes. The South, its infrastructure shattered by war and its treasury depleted, struggled to rebuild. The issue of states' rights, a cornerstone of the Confederacy's ideology, became a source of contention. The central government, seeking to establish stability and promote economic recovery, often found itself at odds with states jealous of their autonomy. The delicate balance between central authority and states' rights, so eloquently articulated in the Confederacy's founding documents, proved difficult to maintain in peacetime. The promises of economic prosperity, predicated on King Cotton's reign, proved elusive. The war had disrupted global cotton markets, and the newly emerging European textile industries sought alternative sources for this crucial raw material. The Confederacy, heavily reliant on this single crop, found itself economically vulnerable. The dream of a prosperous South, free from northern tariffs and economic dominance, remained elusive. The social fabric of the South, already strained by the war, faced new challenges. The return of veterans, many physically and emotionally scarred by the conflict, brought with it a wave of social unrest. The euphoria of victory slowly gave way to the realities of a society grappling with the costs of war and the challenges of peace. Slavery, the cornerstone of the Confederacy's social and economic order, remained deeply entrenched. Despite the hopes of some in the North for its eventual demise, the institution proved remarkably resilient in the face of Confederate independence. The South, its economy largely agrarian and reliant on enslaved labor, clung fiercely to the system that had defined its way of life for generations. The continuation of slavery had profound implications for the development of the Confederacy. It stifled industrialization, discouraged technological innovation, and perpetuated a rigid social hierarchy. The South, while politically independent, remained economically and morally tethered to a system incompatible with the growing abolitionist sentiment in the world. The international community, increasingly critical of slavery, viewed the Confederacy with suspicion and disapproval. The moral stain of slavery hindered the South's efforts to gain international recognition and establish diplomatic ties with European powers. The Confederacy found itself increasingly isolated on the world stage, its economy hampered by limited access to global markets. Within the Confederacy, the debate over slavery continued to simmer. Some voices, primarily in the Upper South, argued for gradual emancipation, recognizing the economic and moral unsustainability of the institution. However, these voices were drowned out by the powerful planter class who held a tight grip on political power and remained deeply invested in maintaining the status quo. The United States, wounded but not broken, emerged from the war forever altered. The dream of a nation united from ocean to ocean lay shattered, replaced by the stark reality of two nations, divided by ideology and bound by a shared history. The loss of the South had profound economic and political consequences for the North. The North, shorn of the South's agricultural output, underwent rapid industrialization. The need to rebuild its army and reassert its dominance on the continent fueled technological innovation and industrial growth. The United States, its focus now turned inward, embarked on a path of westward expansion, securing its control over the vast territories of the West. Relations between the two nations remained tense, marked by suspicion and animosity. Border disputes, trade disagreements, and the unresolved issue of escaped slaves fleeing north via the Underground Railroad served as constant points of friction. The possibility of renewed conflict, while ever present, remained a distant threat, deterred by the economic and human cost of another war. The world watched with a mixture of fascination and trepidation as these two nations, born from the same revolution but now set on different paths, navigated the complexities of their new reality. The American experiment, once a beacon of hope for democratic ideals, had taken an unexpected turn, its outcome far from certain.